Let's be honest, success is not always a straight path. Sometimes you do everything right. You work hard, you sacrifice, and still you don't get to see the finish line. And you know what? That's okay, because sometimes you're meant to fail. Now, before you go and throw your coffee at me for saying that, stick with me. Today, we are going to share some powerful lessons from history, from faith, and from the business world that will show why failure doesn't mean you wasted your time. Sometimes you were never meant to cross the finish line yourself. Lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my favorite youth group song. I could play it on the guitar, loved it. And today we're taking it back to the time of Pharaoh and talking about Moses. If you listen to our podcast regularly, you know that I've been working my way through the Old Testament and Numbers and just finished Deuteronomy, going into Joshua now. But something has been standing out to me week after week about Moses. And that is that he led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. And then even before I get to the but, he wandered for 40 years around the desert with these Israelites.
And wasn't he like 820 years old or something?
120.
Oh, okay.
I just read that. I just read that actually this morning. He was 120 years old when he died. But after 40 years of wandering through the desert, he does not get to go into the promised land. I mean, that sits with me, and I just have such a hard time grasping that, how disappointing that must be to have invested so much of yourself into reaching a goal and then not get to be the person who achieves it. Or not get to be the person that benefits from the work that you put in. So what's also interesting to me is that I looked up how long it should take to walk from the Red Sea, when they crossed over the Red Sea in Egypt, to Canaan, which was the promised land. And it was about 250 miles. And if you considered that they could walk 20 miles a day, which is what the internet said would be reasonable, it should take 2 to 3 weeks to make that journey. And even if they got detoured and had to take breaks and got lost along the way, maybe at most it would take a few months. But it took 40 years.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy to know the actual distance that it is, and that there's just really no explanation for why it would take so long, other than the Israelites just kept losing faith and turning to idols, and God just kept delaying their journey. And there's a lesson to be learned there too. I mean, the primary topic we're discussing today is that sometimes our role is not to reach the promised land. or not to enter into the promised land. Sometimes that's just not the purpose that God has for us. Sometimes it's just to play a role in that bigger story. But also, another lesson is putting yourself in the shoes of the Israelites themselves and why they were so delayed. It was their own disobedience. It was their own lack of faith that kept them from going into the promised land much sooner, because they continually lost faith and complained and said we were better off as slaves, were completely not appreciative of having just been slaved by God with the help of Moses. And so God was like, fine, wander for a few more years. And they just kept going around and around and around until he finally felt that they were ready. And how much do we do that sometimes in our own lives and in our own business, where where we keep failing? I mean, I think about in my own life how when something goes bad, how I am quick to go get on my knees and say, Lord, please help me. But when things are going good, it's easy to just rely on myself and not turn to him and not honor him and not do all the things that I should be doing in the good times and the bad. But and I think that's the same type of pattern that the Israelites were falling through. When things, when God came to their aid and performed a miracle, now they're all happy and honoring God. And then all of a sudden, first time that something bad happens, they're turning their backs and worshiping some statue. So it's just so many lessons to be learned from these stories, but those were some of my takeaways. Do you love the Miss Biz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple, Spotify, and Google My Business are the best platforms to write a review.
2, follow us on social media. Our handle is @MissBizPodcast.
3, join our Facebook group, Miss Biz Nation, for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Also, ask questions related to your business and discuss topics from our episodes.
And that leads into some examples of businesses who were like Moses, where someone paved the way but didn't actually get to reach that end result. And the first one is Nikola Tesla and electricity.
Yeah, so you probably heard of Nikola Tesla and the genius inventor responsible for alternating current electricity, the same system we use today to power our homes and cities. But what most people don't know is that Tesla never saw the financial success he deserved. During his time, Thomas Edison's direct current was the dominant technology, and Tesla struggled to fund his vision. He died in poverty despite creating some of the most revolutionary inventions of all time. But here's the thing, Tesla wasn't meant to finish the job. His ideas laid the foundation for the electrical systems that we use today. His work was picked up and refined by others who had the right timing, resources, and business strategies to bring his innovations to the masses. So his failure didn't mean that his work didn't matter. It just meant that his work was bigger than him.
And sometimes when you hear these stories internally, you grieve for that person because they didn't get to see how much their life made an impact on the future, and they didn't get to have the benefit of the genius inventions that Nikola Tesla came up with. But the only way that I can resolve that in my mind and heart is to just know that it's not about any one person, that we're all just playing a role in the bigger picture and the bigger plan that God has for us. And so if we accomplish that portion of the plan, then our life has been a success. This is also reminding me, I just rewatched the movie Murder in the First. Have you ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
I watched this with my kids because we're going to San Francisco for spring break, and Alcatraz is in San Francisco. And so the movie Murder in the First is about a prisoner who was in Alcatraz and was just severely beaten and put into isolation for 3 years, and the trauma that it caused on his life, which then led him to murder another inmate, and then it's the story of his trial. So anyways, it's the point that goes along with this podcast, I'm getting to it, is that Henry Young, who was the prisoner who was abused so terribly, he won his court case. He was found only guilty of manslaughter after murdering another inmate, which was a huge win. He only was sentenced to 3 additional years of prison time at Alcatraz. And he won. And so it was a great storyline. You're thinking he's going to serve his time and he's going to get out and have a meaningful life. He was young. He was only in his 20s at the time that this happened. But instead, after he won his trial, he went back to Alcatraz and was found dead shortly thereafter. So he never got to be a free man. Mm-hmm. And what's even more just what is even more difficult about the story is that the reason he was out at Alcatraz was because he stole $5 from a convenience store to try to feed his sister. He was 17 years old and he had a younger sister, and their parents had both died, so they were orphans, and he stole $5 from a convenience store to try to get money to take care of his sister, and that's what led him to Alcatraz.
Oh my goodness.
And then he ended up being beaten and abused and put into isolation for 3 years, which turned him into just kind of this shell of a person. He was beaten so badly that he could not even really walk upright, and he was in a black hole with his own feces and excrement for 3 years. It was just this horrible. And then they would pull him out and just beat him and put him back in. And the only exercise he got was 30 minutes a year that they took him outside. 30 minutes a year. And it was just this horrible story. And then you get to this great ending where he wins his trial and he's only going to have to do 3 more years. And then he dies and never gets to have that freedom. But here's the silver lining. Because of Henry Young's story that came out about the abuse of Alcatraz and his trial, Alcatraz ended up getting shut down entirely.
Oh, good.
So he saved how many prisoners from that same abuse that he went through by suffering through it himself. And so even though he didn't personally get to have their freedom, he paved the way for other prisoners to not undergo that type of mistreatment.
Well, that's a nice ending to a sad story.
Very sad story. Very sad story. But, again, the way I can reconcile it is he served his purpose, which was to open the eyes to the American public and to the judicial system about the abuse that was happening at Alcatraz that nobody else knew about at the time.
Mm-hmm. Finding guests for a podcast can be difficult sometimes, so Brooke and I wanted to let you guys know that we are available to appear on your podcast.
We also enjoy speaking at events, so if you have an event coming up, these jingles can go on the road.
Simply go to missbiz.com/contact, and in the subject line, write podcast guest or event speaker, and we'll reach out to you to further coordinate. So another example that comes to mind is MySpace versus Facebook. So before Facebook dominated social media, MySpace was king. If you were online in the early 2000s, you probably remember customizing your MySpace profile and ranking your top 8 friends. But despite its massive early success, MySpace never figured out how to scale. They had the audience, but they couldn't evolve. And Facebook learned from their mistakes. So Facebook didn't invent social media. They just refined what MySpace had started and made it easier.
Yes, and even though you may consider MySpace to have been a long-term failure, MySpace was sold, I looked this up, for $580 million.
That's crazy.
So it still served its purpose in leading the way and being the pioneer to the social media world that we all live in now. But he also, even though he didn't have the long-term success that Facebook and other platforms had, still absolutely was incredibly successful and profitable.
Tom made that money after all.
Yes, sure did. So the next example of a business in this realm is Kodak. The company that invented digital photography and lost. So did you know that Kodak actually invented the first digital camera?
I didn't.
In 1975, an engineer at Kodak created the world's first digital camera, but the company ignored it because they didn't want to disrupt their film business. Years later, digital photography took over and Kodak collapsed while companies like Sony and Canon thrived. And I actually have a client who I went to lunch with this week who used to work at Kodak as an engineer, and he lost all of his retirement and pension and all the things that he had worked all those years for because Kodak went bankrupt.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So Kodak had the right idea, but they weren't the ones to finish it.
So the real lessons about failure in relation to your business is maybe you're running a business, working on a project, or leading something that isn't quite reaching the success that you hoped for. Or maybe you've put in years of effort and you're wondering, why haven't I reached this finish line yet? And here's what we want you to remember. Your job might not be to finish. Your job might be to lead the way. Not every entrepreneur is meant to build the next billion-dollar company. Some of us are meant to lay the foundation so that someone else can take it further. And that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you were part of something bigger than yourself.
So Moses didn't reach the promised land, but he changed the course of history. And Nikola Tesla didn't get rich, but he revolutionized electricity. Henry Young didn't get to achieve freedom, but he paved the way to save other prisoners from mistreatment and abuse. Kodak had the right idea, but the wrong execution, yet their technology still changed the world. And MySpace set the stage, but Facebook perfected it.
So your work matters even if you don't actually see the full results. So don't measure your success only by whether you finish the race. Sometimes your impact is who follows you. And if you're struggling, ask yourself, am I building something that will last beyond me? And third, failure doesn't mean you were wrong. It means that you were part of something bigger.
So hopefully this encourages you that if you are feeling like you haven't achieved that ultimate goal that you have your heart set on, keep working towards it, of course. Unless and until the Lord tells you to move otherwise, keep working towards that goal. But know that you can rest in the peace of the assurance that whether you reach that goal or not doesn't mean that you haven't fulfilled your purpose. If you're walking in the direction that the Lord has for you, then you are in the right place, and what you achieve or whether you reach that promised land is in some ways outside of your control anyways. And so there's no reason to stress or worry about it. Just keep moving along until the time comes for you to either achieve the goal or not achieve the goal.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltzlegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltzmedia.com. Let's get biz done.